2010, Zoe Bookbinder, that's me, visited New Folsom Prison for the first time. What I thought would be one interesting day turned into a decade-long collaborative project. I visited the prison often, and I started collaborating with writers and musicians who were incarcerated there.
All of this became the seed for the Prison Music Project and Long Time Gone, the album produced by Zoe and myself. Since we couldn't record on the inside, we enlisted a large and diverse cast to play on the record. The profits go to the Southern Center for Human Rights.
Our mission is to affirm the humanity of the 2 million people living in cages in America by allowing the world outside to hear some of their stories.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I just want to start by saying that I'm really honored to have been asked to be part of this town hall, and I was really honored to have been asked to be part of the project. I thought that we could start by just introducing ourselves, even though people might know some of who we are, but and talk about why we're here. So my name is Layla McCalla, and I am a musician. My family's from Haiti. A lot of my work centers around, my Haitian Americanness and issues of social justice. I play cello, banjo, and guitar, and I have 3 records under my name. The issue of mass incarceration is something that I have been thinking a lot about. I started my sort of journey of, educating myself on this topic, reading the book Solitary by Albert Woodfox, who was one of the Angola 3 men who were incarcerated and put in solitary confinement for 40 years, accused of the murder of a prison guard, which they were absolved of, but after 43 years. And so after that, I've read the new Jim Crow and watched Ava DuVernay has been doing some amazing work about this topic. Her film 13th, I think, was extremely eye-opening, and then When They See Us, super heartbreaking, and I could go on, but there is information out there, and I'm just really happy to be part of the conversation.
I'll go. My name is Nathan, aka Nate Dogg916 on YouTube. If you don't know, go find out. I'm a formerly incarcerated male up out of Sacramento, California. I served 18 years in California Department of Corrections, mostly on maximum security yards, such as the one you see behind me, which is actually C facility in New Folsom, the one you guys heard about in the intro. Also, I am a co-writer. I guess you can call it co-writer because a couple of my pieces were used in the song Villain, along with Zoe putting it together like she did. And I just truly believe that the first thing we got to do to address incarceration and mass incarceration, like the ladies, you guys will hear the ladies talk about, is change the mindset of the kids that are getting sent there in the first place. So that's where I'm at.
I'm Ani DeFranco. I came into the Prison Music Project about 6 years in, after there was a great pile of wonderful songs and raps and poems and stories. And Zoe was interested in turning this work into a record, so that's where I came in. I helped produce the record, which was about another 6-year process. And Layla, we recorded Layla over here at my home studio, and went all the way. It's finally out there. I'm so excited. It's a long time coming for all of us contributors. And thanks whoever is shown up this evening to engage with us about it.
Hey, I am Zoe Bookbinder, and you saw me in the intro video. My hair is blue now. It's tricky. But I'm one of the founding creators of the Prison Music Project. And yeah, I'm a folk singer, I'm an activist, and a prison abolitionist.
What does it mean to be a prison abolitionist?
What does it mean to be a prison abolitionist? Well, to believe in prison is to believe that there is no hope for radical change in our society in order to reduce harm in another way. It is to believe that people are not redeemable and that people are incapable of accountability and change and repairing harm. And so to believe in prison abolition is to believe that we can, instead of punishing, we can restore relationships and repair harm and include communities in addressing harm. So when harm happens, instead of talking about a crime committed, we talk about harm that occurred, and then we talk about the people who were harmed, the people who caused harm, and those people come together and talk about what needs to happen to repair the harm that was caused and also to reduce future harm. So that's the alternative. That's the system, the framework that I believe in, which is often called restorative justice.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, that was my dog. He agrees.
Sure it was.
So I just wanted to read this quote before we go into some of the questions that were submitted. And I know we have some videos and questions, but I really love this quote from Michelle Alexander, who wrote The New Jim Crow. And she says, as a society, our decision to heap shame and contempt upon those who struggle and fail in a system designed to keep them locked up and locked out says more about ourselves than it does about them. And I really feel like this conversation and, this conversation that we're having is really about, we're in this huge moment of reorienting the moral compass of our society. And I just think it's so vitally important. And so, again, thanks for everyone who's contributed. And yeah, let's go to that first video.
Hi, Zoe and the rest of the Prison Music Project Collective. My name is Brooke, and I'm a journalist. I'm also a big fan of your work. My question for you today is, how can journalists help expose injustices within prisons when it is so difficult to get information from inside?
I feel like Nate should answer this one, and then we also have a response from, we'll go to Nate first.
Well, personally, first of all, thanks for the question, but first of all, I think that it's not that hard to get information from the inside. It's just the avenues that certain people are having to go or trying to go through to get the information. There's, I don't even know the number, so I don't even want to throw a fake number out there, but there's a whole lot of convicts and people that are serving time that would love to give the real information about what's going on in there, and who have actually been documenting stuff, believe it or not, that's been happening over the years, like incidents that have been unjust or inmates that have been mistreated and unfairly housed and treated and moved to certain positions in the prisons where they would love to communicate that. It's just about how you get a hold of them. It's just about getting a hold of these people. That would be the biggest advice I can give for somebody, is try to contact the inmates and stop trying to go through the administration, because you're always going to get the PR message when you go to the administration.
Yeah. What about being in touch with formerly incarcerated folks who maybe don't have as much to risk, like folks that are going to the parole board, maybe
Absolutely.
can't speak to?
Oh yeah. Well, and me personally, my advice, I have a phone book full of formerly incarcerated people who are not on parole, who have no fear of the system at all anymore, such as myself. I'm off of paperwork, meaning I don't have a CDC number anymore. I'm not on parole. I haven't been for 3 years. And I don't care about exposing the stuff they did to us, as well as a lot of the people I know. So if that's another way to talk to people who did the time, you know what I mean? That's where you're going to get the real answers. But make sure you don't just talk to anybody. Make sure you talk to the people that actually did the time, not just people who, no disrespect to those who only go and do turnarounds, what we call turnarounds, but talk to the people that actually in the thick of it, man. That's where you're going to get your real want to change answers, instead of I'm just mad at the system, or I just hate this officer. The people that want to make it better for the people that are still in there, and hopefully try to get rid of it. You know what I mean? I'd much rather, like Miss Bookbinder said, abolish it than it's inhumane. It's inhumane, and people don't get to see how it is unless you've been in there and seen it from the inside out. And the videos and movies and groups and people talking, it will never do it justice. It would never do it. It will never show you as bad as it really gets.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you. There's an answer. So we got obviously some of these questions submitted in advance, and the main purpose of that was so that some of our currently incarcerated collaborators on the Prison Music Project could call and answer some of these questions. So Bruce Dixon, sincere.
Yes, sir. I know him.
Nate knows him. He called and answered a few questions, and he answered this one.
They have to reach out to, they have to find somebody in here. You know what I mean? They have to find somebody in here, because it's like this. Prime example. We've not had a visit since like January, but it's still contraband in here. So, you know, it's like I was talking with a dude I know. A lot of these staff in here, not all of them, but a lot of them.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Have criminal way of thinking. So, a journalist, he most likely he would have to find somebody in here. He have to, you know, that would be the only way.
Someone like you mean, like an incarcerated person?
Yeah, or reach out to like what's the name of the group? Justice Initiative or Lifers Alliance, prison recidivism groups that comes inside these prisons and that already investigates these places. They can find out that way too.
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with it. Like I said, the talking to somebody that's in there, absolutely. But even some of these groups, like, they got paperwork on paperwork, and sometimes, like I said, stuff slips through the crack because they've done that. They've went through people, obviously, who have been incarcerated or who are currently incarcerated and got their information that way. So I can agree with them, but you just gotta. You can't go with the conspiracy theorists, because in my opinion, when you go with the conspiracy theorists, if they're saying they're coming through and electrocuting us and throwing water on us and all that, it's deeper than that. It's bigger than that. You know what I mean? It's not beating us and isolating us, and that's the stuff that everybody has to experience, unfortunately. And it's for me to say everybody has to experience, that's a bad thing, I know, but that's something to be expected when you're in a level 4 prison. You expect the police to end up beating you up at some point. It's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. I've been beaten on a couple times. Was it due to actions that I took? Yes. Do I think that did they beat me too much than they needed to? Absolutely. But that came with the program. Like, if you do this, they're gonna beat you. You expect to get beat. like the mentality, like if I don't pick the cotton, I'm gonna get beat. You know, it's the same thought process. And unfortunately, I fell right into it. But it's the psychological stuff that is even worse than the physical stuff. Because beating me was nothing, but locking me butt naked in a cage for, excuse my language, but locking me with no clothes in a cage from 7 a.m. in the morning till 7 a.m. the next morning with nothing but nothing, no water, no drink, no covering, just because of a fist fight. Now that's inhumane. You know, that wasn't called for because I wouldn't answer your question. So now you want to lock me in this little cage? I'm 6'3", 220 pounds. And you put me in this cage that's built for somebody that's 5 feet to stand up in, not sit down, squat down. You leave me in here for almost 24 hours. Now that's the type of psychological stuff. They try to break you down psychologically. So you need to talk to the people that's been through that type of stuff, because those are the stories that need to get out. You know, yeah, the police beat us. Yeah, the police beat people everywhere. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to make light of it, because it's still not okay. It's not good, because every person should have a right to not be beaten on. Yes, if you're doing something wrong, you should be stopped. But to actually be beaten, that's where the line's being crossed. So yeah, I just think that they should talk to a lot of formerly incarcerated people that have been through the fire and made it out, hopefully. And if they can get a hold of some people that are still walking in it, all the better. Sorry if that question went too long. I kind of started. Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, I think that, you know, there's like a lot of human rights violations that are very swept under the rug in the system, from everything that I've read. You know, of course, I've never been incarcerated, but from everything that I've read, and, you know, getting that information out is part of the challenge to changing it. Because I think that part of what's so interesting about this project is, you know, well, I not just this project, but I think the way that artists, you know, create changes by offering stories, you know, stories in songs or stories in, you know, art. And that's when people connect to the heart of that, that's when it changes how they feel, or, you know, can activate, you know, society,
right,
to want to create change. So, yeah, we could talk about that for a while, but I think we should move on to the next question.
Yeah, I'm all right. Let's go to the
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, I'm good on that one. Yeah. Hopefully, Brooke, thanks for the answer. Hopefully, it was answered good enough.
Hi there, Prison Music Project. Thanks for having me. My question is, since the project was 10 years in the making, do you feel like the infrastructure has been built up enough to record another album with perhaps female incarcerated? I know that women were featured in the video and album, but what was the reason behind centering the album with songs written from incarcerated men and not women? Thank you.
Zoe?
It's kind of multiple questions there. But like the first part of the question saying, is there enough of an infrastructure? I mean, there is no infrastructure, but yes, we can now, Prison Music Project Collective can now make an album with incarcerated women. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'd love to, and I plan to.
I can't wait to.
Right. So the reason the people on the album are the people on the album is that is the prison that I had access to. I'm very grateful that happened, and it was a men's prison, which doesn't mean there were only men in it. We all know that transgendered folks are not always recognized as their gender in prisons, and so there were some women at New Folsom, but not so many, and almost zero, not quite zero, in any of my classes. So, two.
Yeah, I would just add to that that person, we've totally talked about it. That is what we would love to do next, is amplify the voices of female incarcerated, because it's a whole other world, a whole other game. And
Definitely.
Yeah, that's
Big
you know exactly. We are aligned. We are thinking that too, and hopefully that will manifest.
Ani and I did we kind of produced a few episodes of for this Prism radio show on Righteous Babe Radio. And one of the people that I interviewed is Miss Mary, Miriam Uloho, who runs Sister Hearts, which is a store and a reentry project in New Orleans. And she talked about incarceration, and specifically for women, and the different kind of, this is connected to what Nate was saying about the psychological warfare, really, that prisons and guards wage on people who are incarcerated. And Miss Mary was saying the particular ways they're different things that they do to women. And one of the things they do is they don't allow women to touch each other at all. So if a woman, her child dies on the outside of prison and she's, grieving, no one can hug her. And Miss Mary told a story about hugging a woman in exactly this scenario. And she was sent to solitary confinement, I think, for 3 months, just for hugging someone who was grieving their child's death. So there's, yeah, we definitely, next chapter is working with women.
This is not directly related, but I was curious, did you ever speak to, the wives or mothers or daughters of these men who were incarcerated, and was that included in the process of deciding which stories to tell, and what, was that featured in the pieces? Just because, women play such a, critical role in our society, and sort of,
women are
with caretaking and, nurturing and raising children. And so, I'm just curious about that.
And especially when so many men, especially in Black communities, are incarcerated, there's a lot of Black women who are bearing the weight of everything when
arguably Black women bear the weight of everything in general.
That is true.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So, I've been in touch with many family members of folks that I worked with.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our, Alex Patrice, who wrote Survivalist, we on his release day and for a while after, we documented him and his family as they reunited after he was incarcerated for 13 years. It's a lot of footage. We hope to someday make something of it. But other than that, there's some family members recorded on the album and sang, like Nate's niece, Aranessa Turner, sang his song. So there's, it's integrated. I think maybe there's probably a lot more opportunity there.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's move on to the next question.
Right.
Hi, I'm Sasha Ellington. When I see a law enforcement person, my intuition tells me their intention is to deliberately cause me harm and do me wrong versus keeping me safe and protecting me. Would you say this is true? Thank you.
Nate?
I really want to hear what Nate has to say about this.
He's holding his...
Be afraid. Be afraid. Yes, be afraid. Because when you're not afraid, that's when it's going to happen. So be afraid, but be respectful. I don't think personally that all law enforcement is out to hurt me as an African American male. I do not think that. But I'm always nervous. I'm always worried when I see police officers. I'm always, and I haven't been a criminal since 1996, and I'm still nervous every time I see or come in contact with a police officer. You know what I mean? Not because I'm worried about going to jail, but in the current times right now. And I've never really, before I was never really afraid of the police, because my mindset was we could just, no disrespect to anybody on the panel, but my mindset before was we could just shoot it out. Let's see who's got a better aim. But my mindset now is I got to make it home to my family. And my main advice, Sasha, Miss Sasha, thank you for the question, is be respectful, but be cautious. I mean, that's all I could say. Be cautious. Don't take it like every person of authority is gonna use their authority as they should. Let me just put it like that. Don't take life as that every person given authority will use it as it was intended, because that's not the case. That's anybody else can say their opinion on that.
There's a couple of, or one answer to this. Yeah. Wait, I don't see the video. I guess I didn't. Oh no, that's funny. So I did ask, I asked Spoon, Jackson, and Bruce Dixon this question, but apparently did not. This was a quick process. Anyway, their answers in short were yes. It's not a question I feel like my voice doesn't matter in it, so I just wanted to pass that along from them.
They said be afraid.
Yeah, they said that probably most law enforcement were the question. Their intention is to deliberately cause harm. And Bruce Dixon said specifically that this is true if you are a person of color.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. Like I said, but at the same time, just because one's smiling in your face, be cautious. Be cautious. Don't, especially if you're a black woman. I mean, I know people got to listen, especially if you're a black woman. I mean, you're even an easier target. You know what I mean? Than a black male would be if it's a one-on-one situation. You know what I mean? As far as the way that the mentality of someone who's trying to prey on what they perceive as weak. You know what I mean? They're gonna the target would be a female first, and then of course a man. But if one officer by himself walks over me, I think he's gonna try to be nice, unless he has no other choice. You know what I mean? But be cautious, please. Everybody be cautious, but especially if you're a person of color, please be cautious.
Yeah, there's actually, I keep on looking over at my bookshelf because there's this book that I want to grab just quickly to show everybody. It's called You Have the Right to Remain Silent. You Have the Right to Remain Innocent. And it's a very interesting read. This guy wrote a lecture called Don't Talk to the Police, and I would just recommend it to anyone who wants to know more about how to deal with the police and what your actual rights are. Because I think that part of the issue is we don't really know what our rights are a lot of the time. And especially people of color, we feel we have to always prove that we're doing the right thing. And a lot of the time we don't actually have to prove anything. And we've seen this documented over video. There's like YouTube videos up the wazoo of this is part of the conversation about how police brutality happens. And so, I like to read. So
somebody just made a quick little comment. I think it's perfect for this thing. It says, "Don't buddy up, dummy up." So don't try to be all friendly, man. I don't know nothing. I don't know anything. I'm just trying to go home. That's it. Like don't buddy up, dummy up. A supporter just made that comment, so I was like, okay, I gotta share that one.
Yeah, that's good. Sweet. Let's move on to the next video in question.
Hello. The question that I chose to ask, I heard asked at Folk Alliance International in New Orleans this year as well. And I thought that the panelists did such a wonderful job answering that I would ask it again in light of the release of the Prison Music Project and the album Long Time Gone. The question is, in activism, if the activist benefits, does it still have value? Thanks, can't wait to hear your answers.
Nathan has a question.
Okay, so I just want to clarify what she meant. I think I know what she meant. I just want to clarify. So is she saying that the person who's supposed to be an activist, if you're financially benefited from whatever you're doing as an activist, is it still activism?
I don't think it's exclusive to financial, but sure. Yeah, if you're benefiting by like getting recognition or money, is it still valuable?
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, and I don't consider myself an activist. I consider myself just being serious about what I'm serious about. Absolutely, it's still activism, because whether you benefit from it or not, I'm not sitting on my couch being quiet like these other bums. I'm going to get up and speak about what I think is wrong, and I don't care who don't like it. So absolutely, if I get notoriety, and I have a YouTube channel, and I go on my YouTube channel to share that I've been through this fire, and any of us can make it through a struggle and make it and be successful in our lives. So that now I'm walking in public and people recognize me. So that's a benefit, right? So people recognition. So does that mean that my sole intent from doing the content in the first place is not pure anymore? Because no, absolutely not. It still means the same thing, and even more so because now I see that the seed is growing because people are recognizing me, and people are, oh, you the dude, man, thank you, man. I'll make my little homies watch your channel. Yeah, see, so absolutely, my opinion is absolutely it's still activism, even if the activist is rewarded in whatever way from it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nate. I feel like it's a dangerous it's a slippery slope to get into. You have to be, you have to be really torturing you have to be flogging yourself to be good, to be virtuous. I think we all need to come to terms with self-love is not selfish, and looking after yourself or having some stake in it or some other benefit for benefiting yourself as well as other people. All of that wrapped up together is beautiful and probably more sustainable than only benefiting others. And if it's a constant drain, if it only takes from you and never gives back anything, it's probably not sustainable as far as activism goes.
Yes, good answer.
Yeah,
I like that. Layla, did you notice that?
Did I notice what?
That there's a comment from Bruce about that question about the police.
Oh no, I can't see those comments. I think.
You have to read it.
Are there?
Okay,
yeah.
so Bruce, there is a video response from Bruce, I guess.
Oh, that's from the previous question, I think.
Yeah, from the question number 3. I guess they didn't think we had a response for it. It's okay. Never mind.
Oh, oops. Yeah. That's true. There's also.
Oh, never mind. All right. I've been told to shut up.
Yeah, should we go back to Bruce's response?
No. No.
We should.
Janice said we're moving on.
I think it's true. It caused me harm before protect me. I think it's true.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where you, and the cool part about it is that no matter what environment you in, you could be an educated African American. You still gonna have that fear. There's still a fear there. So.
Yeah. Do you think that the question or like the answer is only yes, that's true for African Americans and other people of color, or for everyone?
I think for everybody of color.
Yeah.
And the cool part about it, you can be a white man, right? And just committed a crime. But if you see the police get behind you or pull you over, the first thing that goes through a lot of their heads is that I wasn't caught red-handed, so I can most likely get away with this. You know what I mean? And I know that answer. I know that answer just because I've talked to a lot of guys up in here, and it's like, man, shit. A lot of the times I got away with crime just based on my nationality. So.
And that's white guys that you talk to that say that.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out, Nate. There's also an answer from Spoon Jackson to question 4, which is the one about activism and if it's still valuable when the activist benefits. So let's hear from Spoon.
Yes, because the changes you're trying to make, if you're a true activist, will help everybody, not only yourself. And there's nothing wrong with individuals rising to the top together when each person is doing their part as an activist or as an entrepreneur or as a humanist or whatever. It's just that everybody got to find their niche, and if part of the niche is being an activist, do it to the best of your ability and accept the hugs and the praise and the accolades, everything that come with it, but just don't let it build a nest in your head. And there's nothing wrong with activists getting something out of what they are doing, as long as they're not crooks.
Smart man. He's the one that made me start writing, by the way, people.
Oh, yay.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's the one that told me to stop writing the little crap poetry I was writing and start putting some thought into it.
I love it.
He literally said it with those words, too.
He's snarky.
Yeah, he's a snarky old feller. Mike got me into writing creative writing, but Spoon's the one who enhanced my poetry.
Cool.
So we have some questions from the audience that have come in. Y'all agree that this is a good time to address those?
Do you want to read question 5 and 6 now, or do you want to take some from the audience first? Because we have responses from Bruce and Spoon for 5 and 6.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Those we don't have videos for those, so those are ones that you, Layla, can read as moderator.
Awesome. So question 5 from Emily Boyd, do the folks that are still incarcerated get updated on the project? And if so, what are their thoughts about the final product? I'm really curious personally to hear from Nate about what his thoughts are on the project.
I play it all the time in my truck. I like it. I enjoy it. I like the message that it's putting out there, that a lot of people from a lot of different kinds of genres of music can come together and work and in an album be purely made out of care. And it comes across very, very well, actually, to me. And I've watched like everything everybody's put out, every video clip, like I said, I drive all night long, so I'm always listening to something. And I've listened to the album so many times I can almost sing every song. And at first it was just Villain I could sing, but now I know almost all of them. But I enjoy it, and I can't wait to hear the female version. I can't wait to see what that's about. You know what I mean? And I throw the quotes in the air because like I said, me and Zoe have a personal relationship, and I know how she is about labels and titles, and I can't wait to see the other half of people who put another album together. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Oh yeah, for folks who don't know, we can't send the album into a prison, and we couldn't show the release show. No, none of the writers who are still in prison could. Oh, go ahead.
But I've got good reviews from people from a couple of songs in prison, from people in prison.
How'd they hear it?
Can't tell.
They call me collect, and I play it on the phone for them when they call me collect.
Yeah.
So when they call me, I just hold on. Let me call me on my wife's phone. They call me on my wife's phone, and then I play it on my phone so they can hear the song. So they heard mine. They heard Shell Dog. They heard a couple other ones. They definitely heard Jacob's. They like, okay, good, bro. Keep doing it. They don't even. The people who I talk to in prison, they don't even ask for money. They just want me to keep. If that's a surprise for people who know anything about people in prison. People in prison are always usually asking for something. The people who I deal with are just like, keep doing what you guys are doing. That's what we need you to do, because we need you guys to break the stereotype of what people who are incarcerated are. Because too many people think that that's where all of us who committed a crime in our life need to be. And that stereotype needs to be broken. People believe that once a criminal, you're always a criminal. Once you commit a crime, that's who you are, that crime. And it's definitely not the case. Definitely not the case. Especially not in my case.
What besides, people not necessarily being able to hear, the album in its totality, is there other communication about the project?
I talk to Spoon regularly, and he's thrilled, totally psyched. Like we were in the LA Times the other day. A review of the project, or he's aware of how we're getting out there. And maybe answering some of these questions for this evening, and is completely psyched to be engaging with people in the world, which you get so little opportunity to do on the inside.
Right.
Yeah. Bruce actually talks in his recorded answer. He talks a bit about the access he has and what he has or has not heard from inside prison.
I was in prison for a long time, and if I knew that my bro was on YouTube right now, live talking about a prison music project while I was in prison, I would be in my cell, no cap, like this, watching you guys talk about the prison music project in my cell.
But not everybody has a.
No, of course not. Of course not. But yeah, it's let's just say people are commenting right now saying they love the album, and they're sitting in cells right now.
Yay! Hi.
They're commenting from in cells right now saying keep up the good work. So.
Oh.
Yeah, we really hope to, there's the official channels for those out there that don't know that.
Absolutely.
Where you can get materials that aren't books into a prison. So we really hope someday that this record will be in the music library of
access package.
So Bruce mentioned earlier, there's still contraband coming into the prisons, even though there's no visitors, because prison staff are mostly bring that stuff in. So people have cell phones. I want to say, as far as the folks I've been in touch with, and Nate, you can let me know how true you think this is, but it kind of depends. Everyone has a different amount of risk they're willing to take, because if they're coming up for parole and they have to go to the parole board, they're not trying to have a cell phone. So
you're not trying to, if you're trying to, like she said, if you're real close to the house, or you're close to a parole date, something like, you're not trying to do anything to get in trouble if you can help it at all. Right. Not even a verbal altercation. Right. Me personally, I knew when I was going home, so I had already maxed out my time. So I really didn't personally. I didn't care. I had a phone every chance I could get one, because it's too expensive. And let me be precise. It wasn't about breaking a rule. You know what I mean? Because I just felt like that rule was unjust due to the fact that they had this contract with this outside company for us, my family, to call collect, for me to call my family collect, and they pay all these overages and charges and charges and charges. When I could pay $50 a month, I'll pay this dude $1,000. My family over 17 years paid way more than that for collect calls. You know what I mean? If I combine it all up. So I'm willing to take that whole trip, the risk, the 30 days. I'm willing to take that to save the money to stay connected to my family. You know what I mean? Because everybody doesn't have connections to the streets when they're in there. And that's one of the hardest things for people that are incarcerated, is that, you get lost in there. You get lost in this, walking this track behind you. That's all your life is that track. You don't think about the visitor room, because that just causes stress. You don't think about mail, because that just causes stress. You don't think about your family, because they don't think about you to a certain extent, certain people, So yeah, I got phones every chance I could. And no disrespect, but I didn't give a crap if they caught me with them or not. You catch me, whatever. Write me up, send me to the hole. You'll bring me back, and then I'm gonna find somebody sell the same person I got that one from. I'm gonna buy another one, and I'm gonna have another one immediately. So.
And if you got caught with it, you got sent to the hole, or?
When I was in prison, it was just a 30-day write-up. You didn't even go to the hole. They just took it and wrote you up for gave you a 30-day write-up. Like you get a write-up, they add 30 days to your time. But I had already maxed out my time, so I didn't have no good time for you to give me. The only time you could have gave me some more time, you had to send me back to court. And they're not sending you back to court for a cell phone. That's just contraband. So who gave it to you? I found it on the yard.
Right.
It's that simple. So basically it was nothing. It was just CTQ for 10 days. You can't come out your cell. You can't go to visits. Okay, so I get the rest.
Let's hear from Bruce. Bruce answered this question.
Okay.
I mean, for as like speaking to you, I find out about the product and the project, and I'm still just waiting to see. I got hope in it, and I got faith in that what's going on will eventually pan out. You know, and I think all of us in here that knows about these projects and know what's going on, we all just got hope. We all looking for the end game right now. You know.
Yeah.
And so we have to keep hope, because if we don't, then it'll be like it's all for nothing. And we don't. I know me personally, I don't think that everything you're doing, and all these other prison reform groups are doing is for nothing, because I'm seeing little by little things change. You know.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. That's one thing that gives me hope, is that when I see these people out there protesting, going in front of the Senate and assembly peoples, these bills are starting to change. So people's voice are being heard.
Yeah.
And that gives me faith right there. You know. Now I haven't heard the album. I know the song, and my family has heard the album and seen the release show and stuff like that. So that's the only way that I've personally been able to get an update on it. And whatever little fan mail that has come to me of people speaking about it. You know, we ain't got laptops. We don't have any kind of internet access. So we're very limited to the outside world. So the only way we find out about things that's going on with the project, the album, the release party, the music.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Is if we call a family member who knows about it, and they play it over the phone for us, and we're able to hear it. Cover look like I wish I could order the album through Amazon or something, because I still want to hear the whole album. But I've heard it came out real good. I heard that it's a nice album. The production and everything came out good. But yeah, we're very limited. The only way I see something like that is if a staff chooses to pull it up on a computer and allow me to see it, and that's very few in between.
I got a quote that I like to share, because it's like he said, it's not for nothing. Like, this isn't for nothing. Like, what you guys are doing, what I'm doing, what everybody's doing is not for nothing. It doesn't have to show immediate results for it to be working. And the quote that I actually heard before, to me, it was a really good quote. When you're looking at a mountain, you can't look at it as a mountain. You just got to grab a pebble at a time and just keep throwing pebbles behind you. And before you know it, the mountain will be gone. The mountain will be behind you, and you'll be clear skies. So, yeah, I just felt like that fit when he said that. It has to pan out. It has to work out eventually. It has to. Even if it doesn't work out for Mr. Dixon, it has to work out eventually. It has to. It can't keep going how it's going. It can't. I made it out by the luckily I made it out. You know what I mean? And I did my time. I had a determined sentence, and I did my time and came home. But I was lucky because I was doing my time like I wasn't coming home. So that's why I say I only made it. I was lucky to make it out. So yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it, and the album is definitely gonna blow. Hopefully, it opens up a lot of eyes and ears. So hopefully, people listen to the words as well as the music. Listen to what these brothers are saying. You know what I mean? The heart crying, the heart songs. I've heard somebody use the word heart songs. Listen to the heart songs that are being sang. You know.
Let's hear from Spoon. Spoon answered this question as well.
I wanted to continue to blossom, and the dang pandemic making it more difficult to get things out except for on the internet. But I think it can still continue to grow, and then more people will be attracted to it, especially with the Q&As and all that. And we all forging new ground right now because nobody can do concerts except for at home or in the studio. So who knows how far it can go. But to continue to push and continue to expose it to more people, to more areas.
Yeah.
Because everything I'm hearing from my friends that is beautiful and deep.
So I have a couple of people who don't know about the project. They just heard me talk about it because this is streaming on my channel as well. They're asking where they can get access to the album. Could somebody?
Oh, great. Well, we can put up the website on the banner. There it is. Oops. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, and just so you know, Nate, I have someone watching your comments for questions, which we'll get to.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Once we're through. No, you're good. There's three. The next question I really love, and we have 3 responses from folks who called in from prison, from incarceration. So after that, we will take questions from our audience.
So this is the next question from Joe Crater. It says, there are calls in the general public for defunding police and prisons. How is this project restorative? How does it speak to those who are afraid of reducing prison populations?
Should we hear from one of our call-in guests and then talk a little bit?
I think that sounds great.
Okay, let's.
It allows us to tell our story, you know what I mean? And so if people hear our story and hear our change within our story, then they see that we're in here using, we're in here really becoming, what's the word called, rehabilitated, you know? So a lot of these programs, especially like the Prison Music Project, people are allowed to hear our story through our music. And when they hear our story through our music, they get to see, okay, these dudes ain't just in there just sitting on their ass, just wasting time. You know, so it gives us a voice to let the public know that we're changing. And once they see that we're changing, then they won't be so afraid to let us out and live amongst them.
Nathan, what do you think?
Oh, I mean, that's absolutely one of the things I was just saying a minute ago, was as far as people being afraid of reducing the prison population. There's more people in prison that don't want to be committing crimes and doing stupid crap anymore than the people that are still on that mindset. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people in there that are really just remorseful of the fact that they made whatever mistake they made and got stuck for life, you know, and would glow at the chance to have another shot. I don't think that, like I said, you got to listen to the heart songs. That'll tell it. If you listen to, just like when I talked about how I wrote Villain and what that was about, like the 2 pieces that I wrote that you turned into Villain, let me be more precise. Like, that was a heart song. That was me crying inside, watching those men run in the grass, you know, coming back from a visit with my family, knowing that I was coming back to my cage, you know. So, like, people got to understand, like, I mean, I'm living proof. Like, if you look at me as my C-file or my criminal record, you would never think that I've done the things that I was going to do, the things that I've done since my release. If you only looked at me as what the paper said I was, you know. The paper says you guys should be afraid of me. The paper says that I don't want to help anyway. I just want to take. That's what the paper says, but I'm not a piece of paper. You know, I'm a living, breathing human being that's adaptable and willing to change and learn from my mistakes. And there's a lot of us out there, and there's a lot of us in there. And I say us because we all in the same camp. We're all in the same pack. I use a lot of dog references. Sorry, I was going to say we're all in the same kennel, but we were. And we think a lot of us think the same. The ones who I'm talking about who think the same, like Sincere, Mr. Jackson, and Jacob, and Adam, and Mike, and these are all people. Most of these people on this group, I've walked yards with. I've walked laps on that same dirt track with, talking about poetry and talking about them telling me that I need to calm down. You know, I need to stop doing the dumb stuff and come over here to this class and learn how to write and do this instead of fighting people. Over there talking crap and shooting the crap with these dudes that don't want it to change. And I appreciate it. And there's a lot of people that have changed already and need to be heard and need to be seen, man. And they're not going to release. I promise you, the people who are worried about the prison population being reduced, the people who are going to have the control of that, they know who they're releasing and who they're not releasing, man. They make you jump through so many hoops already to get a parole date that they know who they're dealing with. And all my brothers that have coming out, I think 13 people have come out now. I just got another one the other day. Since I've been home, have come home on life sentences. Unfortunately, they still have to be paroled for a long time, but they're home. So obviously it's working. It's working.
Let's hear from Spoon now.
Well, what people got to look at is just who and what and how they got the prisons working right now. When you got enormous amount of people serving long terms, and after a certain amount of time, statistics and all the data showed that these people, if they get out, they would contribute to society. Be there thousands of them. You should let them out. You should not listen to the rhetoric coming from the people that make a living from keeping other human beings inside these walls. If you really study the data, if you really got to know some prisoners or some lifers, somebody, you see that you can reduce the population safely. And another thing is when you build a prison, you built the prison on bad foundation, on foundation of racism. And therefore, it needs to be torn all the way down. And like Angela Davis speaks of, prisons should be abolished because it's like the police force. It started, I believe, with them running down runaway slaves, you know, hunting down other human beings. And therefore, for anything to be restorative, the foundation's got to be restorative. You got to start from the beginning. Yeah, the album speaks to this by showing that what people are doing in prison is bettering themselves, is finding their niche and wanting to share what they have learned and how they have grown with others. Because a lot of us came in here as youngsters. This album allows people to see what talent is not being shared, what talent is going to waste by just sitting in prison and only being able to share it with fellow prisoners. I just keep thinking about how everybody got one foot in darkness and one foot in light. If you can't see yourself in somebody else, I don't know how you can see yourself when you look in the mirror, because everybody make mistakes and everybody, for the most part, are redeemable. Know that prison exists and that people inside them are human beings. A lot of times that's the problem. They don't know that the people inside are human beings. That happened a couple of times when I was teaching a class and had access to students on the streets through another professor. And the students would told us that they didn't even know we was human in there. They said we passed by a prison and we didn't know that y'all wrote poetry. We didn't know that y'all sang. We didn't know that y'all age and look like you or look like them, and maybe of different colors. But you got to know that the prison system is inherently racist. The systemic racism is what got the prisons full of people of color. And this album shows that.
Yeah.
Shows the love, it shows the music, it shows the talent, it shows that there's a bunch of people in prison and a bunch of cool activists out there on the streets like you and Ani and Judith Tidenbaum and others that's trying to change the system and want to change the system and hope to be a part of the movement that the young folks are doing, putting down out there on the streets right now.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to what you guys have said, and with the liner notes for the record, we worked really hard on those, just trying to not just be inspirational, but maybe informational, talking about restorative justice and what that is, talking about the concept of life without parole, which I think people, if you don't have loved ones in prison, you might not sit around and think about it. Like, is life without parole a good idea? And so we try to unpack that in the liner notes when we talk about the record in our press. We built a lot of radio programming around just the justice system and just trying to deliver the information that we have learned in our work and our time around incarceration. And I mean, I guess I'm speaking for myself. I've never been incarcerated, but I've been on the periphery for many years of the criminal justice work and defense work and learned a whole lot. And so I'm just, yeah, there's a lot of, you know, once you have a record to work with and this music, and of course the heart songs and connecting to people's hearts, you have a tool that you can use to start an even bigger conversation.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear from Zoe. How does it speak to those who are afraid of reducing prison populations? The second part of that question. What do you think of that?
I mean, that really points to why I felt inspired to begin collaborating with the people that I was working with inside, because what I didn't really have a lot of preconceived notions when I went into the prison, but I definitely knew, you know, what society was telling me to think and the media was telling me to think, which is people in there, not only are they bad, but don't even think about them at all. I didn't really, like, that's why I didn't really have preconceived notions, is because I didn't really think about prison, because it's something that is really hidden from us. We don't have to think about it. Also, I was 25 the first time I went into the prison, and not as political as I am now at 35. But it all started because, you know, I was meeting people like Nate and people like Bruce and Sam, who we'll hear from in a minute, and Spoon, and I was meeting these people, and you know, it was very, very easy to see that these are not harmful, dangerous, ill-meaning people. They're not criminal minded. There's not, what I was seeing a lot of was, you know, the first, what's that?
Their humanity.
Yeah. And the first song, the song that sort of started the album was Survivalist by Alex Patrice. And that song speaks so much about his childhood and what led him on the path that led him to prison. And he spent more of his life institutionalized than not, starting as a child in foster homes and then in youth detention and then in prison. And this was because his father was incarcerated and his mother was addicted to drugs. And she's not now. She's doing very well, just so you know. But, you know, hearing about where he came from, it just was so clear, like, prison is not the answer for this. Prison is not even a Band-Aid. Prison is just further harm. This is just piling violence on top of trauma, on top of, you know, capitalist, you know, the capitalism and racism produced this problem, and then we're just trying to solve it with more violence. And so I thought, the thing that's bringing my awareness to this issue is going inside the prison, and I can't bring people with me to see what I'm seeing. But what I can do is take these stories out if I'm given permission to do so. And Alex's was the first story that I did that with. And it was really clear that people were on the outside when I played this song. On the album, it's because he got released, so he performs it the way he performs it. It's a rap. But back in the day, I used to sing his lyrics like a folk song, and when people heard his lyrics, they were impacted like I was, and that's the feedback that I got from audiences. And so, the project just kept growing, and I was collaborating with more and more people because I think that prison serves to erase and dehumanize people, not only the people, but their stories. And telling people stories, or more so allowing people to tell their own stories, is such a powerful form of activism. And I've been seeing it for a decade because I've been sharing these songs before this album came out. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's
I just didn't want us to forget to, get to that second part of the question. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So we have been going for an hour now, and I think we have a video to show, and we have a bunch of questions from people on Facebook and from Nate's YouTube page. So I feel like we should get to some of those.
Yeah, we haven't heard from Sam yet, so let's hear his answer to this question first.
I'm skipping.
Okay, but since we haven't heard from him yet,
sure.
Let's hear from Sam.
That's a pretty good question. How does it speak to those who are afraid of reducing the prison population? Prison has not always been around. Prison is fairly new from the classical era. And with that said, prisoners or crime itself is a social construct. And as long as we rely on prisons to deal with our quote-unquote undesirables or people that turn to criminal behavior, will never actually cure the problem that people have. So, something that I'm big on is, is the theory of emotional illiteracy-based criminality. And I feel that no one is born bad, no one is born evil. But when you place someone in prison, you give a juvenile person a life sentence or a LWOP sentence or a double-digit sentence, you're basically saying that they're incorrigible. You can't be fixed, you can't be corrected. And then you remove some society from accepting any type of blame or responsibility in not only contributing to that person becoming a criminal, but also in helping the person rehabilitate. So I feel as long as prisons are here, they prevent people from having our opportunity to move as a collective and accept the collective responsibility in helping all of us to strive to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And so our project humanizes us. First of all, it's so intersectional in nature that it allows people to utilize their sociological imagination and step out in empathy. So when you look at someone like you and I, from two different backgrounds, from, supposedly they'll say two different races or two different genders, all these things that, once again, social constructs that we utilize to separate one another, and we're able to reconcile and find common ground and show and evolve and show our shared humanity. And so what our project does is show that we're not the monsters that most people think we are. We're all so much better. Like Brian Stevens said, we're still so much better than even our worst decisions. And so that's what, through music, because music is universal, it shows that we're able to collaborate, that we identify, that we have much more in common than we think, and that we also have something to offer to society. So I think this contributes to that.
in a number of ways, Zoe.
Okay, it's audience question time.
So the first question is from Tanya. She says, is it being discussed how to empower systemic change from the inside? Do you believe in that? I guess I would add to that, you know?
I feel curious, when she says inside, does she mean inside prison or inside the system, the oppressive system?
Let's assume she means both.
So different.
I don't know. What do you think? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, if you're meaning like, if she meant like people getting jobs and going in and trying to be correctional officers that try to make a difference, they'll be weeded out like a weed in the grass. They'll get rid of them fast. Because as soon as you show that you have any kind of empathy towards inmates, you're put in the mailroom. Period. I've seen that actually happen. People who have been friendly with inmates, just on some regular, not no, I'm gonna bring contraband, any type of stuff like that, but to just a cool officer to treat you like a human being, you get shunned by your crew. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But as far as changing, if that's what she meant, that's my opinion on that part.
Yeah. I assume that that's what she meant, but I think it would also just be interesting to, you know, think about is systemic change possible from inside the system?
Don't give up. If that's what she feels she wants to do, try it. Give it a shot. Yeah, every pebble counts.
Right.
I think the systemic change that we need, I mean, as much as I'd love to say just burn it all down, that's not what the leaders that I tend to listen to, like Angela Davis, is not saying we burn it to ash and then rebuild. She's saying it is incremental change, but it's not incremental change and then we just kind of stop at some point. We only stop when the whole thing is just completely different. There's nothing left that is recognizable by the time the change is done. So that's the abolition that I'm talking about. It's not
different.
Not because I don't think it's possible to just get rid of the system entirely right now. I think we should do that. But
well, as it is, absolutely, the system as it is needs to be done. Absolutely. I agree with that. But there has to be something, and it might not look anything like what right now looks like. It can't, because obviously this system is broken. It's damaged. It's from it wasn't anything okay from my time of starting, and I don't know how long before that. But yeah, there needs to be change. It needs, like you said, that's the word that stuck out to me the most, was different. It needs to be different. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be held accountable. I just think it should be different.
I did an interview with Angela Davis recently, and one thing that she said that really stuck out to me was we're not trying to fill the same footprint. She actually says this in her book, Our Prison's Obsolete, too. Our Prison's Obsolete. Great book. I recommend it. But she says, we're not trying to fill the prison footprint with a new thing that answers this. There is an issue, but we're not trying to just like put a Band-Aid on prison. It's got to look really different. And I think that finally we're seeing these ideas of defunding. Right now we're talking about defunding in the mainstream. We're talking about defunding police and prisons. But I think that is what that really means is that's the first step in abolishing, because when we defund police and prisons, we're funding communities and community-led peacemaking and harm reduction and community support. And when people are well and safe and they have everything that they need, in terms of healthcare and housing and food and quality of life, there will be so little crime that there will be no need for prison. And that's, so we sort of do it from within the system by making these incremental changes over time.
So that's a good lead into this next question from Jennifer, who says, asking from a funding standpoint, what do you value more on the inside? I guess when people say on the inside, they mean inside the prison system. Access to education, access to work, release / trade training, or access to technology.
Access to work release, access to education, or access to technology. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it would probably be the work release. It would probably be the work release. Like, if I can be taught a trade and then released upon learning that trade to work, come back, and then eventually gain my freedom from that, absolutely, I take that all day and twice on Sunday.
Right.
They have education programs. Don't
education becomes a part of that as well.
Yeah, education is a part of that, but because they're not gonna, as far as work release, they oh, sorry. As far as education being a part of it, absolutely, you have to learn a trade. You'd want to learn a trade. You don't want to just don't open the door and let me out, and now I don't have a skill. Like, like me personally, I didn't have a skill when I came home. I just went on I did do a lot of studying while incarcerated though, and college classes and such, but so I did educate myself, but I had no actual work skills, no work experience upon release. So I think that some kind of work release situation would be the thing that a current prisoner would want first, especially since it has release in it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna skip us down to this final question. There have been a few questions, but I feel like we've answered some of them in some of our conversation. So this one comes from Hannah, and she says, I'm a librarian working in a state prison in Pennsylvania. The guys can buy tablets and download files from kiosks via the company GTL. Could they download this album there?
No, I don't know. That's them.
No.
No.
It's not. Yeah, no, it's not in our control. We are trying to get it in, but it's the companies that allow that distribute in prisons are different than the companies that distribute everywhere else.
And most of them are owned by former correctional officers.
Right. I feel like our album is kind of a hard sell.
For that platform.
Yeah. But with being prison
they don't want to, have everyone and information.
And the funny thing is that the librarian just spoke about the same company I was talking about earlier that charges us all that money for our phone calls. GTL, right. Global Tel Link, that's the same company.
Right.
I ain't buying that from GTL.
Yeah, this gives me hope that maybe someone is thinking about creating change from within, but it also is like this double-edged sword to think of this for-profit system sort of created every part of our society, even our prisons.
She's a librarian. She can play music in the library. Tell her to download it and play it in the library.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's not illegal. She can play her own music in the library. That's not against the rules. Just play it. Play the song.
We'll give it to you.
Even all prison librarians everywhere.
Well, yeah. And if you have the ability to bring a copy in for people to check out, I know that, it depends on what kind of prison you're in, but you please email prisonmusicproject@gmail.com, and I would be so happy to send you one or many copies to bring in.
Every library I've ever been in, I've always heard music playing in prison. The librarians always doing their own thing in their office, playing music. You can play the music for them.
Good to know. Well, I feel like, yeah, this conversation has given me personally a lot to think about. And I'm just really, again, grateful to have been part of the process of making this record, grateful to be connected to all of you, and grateful for all these questions that came in online and all of this engagement. I think that, like you said, Nate, it's just one pebble at a time.
Yes.
And I think that that's the approach that we have to take. There's going to be setbacks and there's going to be forward motion, and I think this is a really exciting time in history. So yeah, thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Leila.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks, everyone, for watching and engaging and asking questions. And thank you, Samuel Brown, Spoon Jackson, and Bruce Sincere Dixon for calling in and being involved in this in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I appreciate everybody. Keep up the good work.
Take care.
You too, Nate.
Later.
Bye.
And I was sitting back watching this last night in all these cities and all these states, and I'm just like, man, what is the world coming to, And it's crazy. It's crazy how I made a song that that's like relevant, like all time relevant of what's going on, like 6-7 years ago. It's like this song is coming full circle. And I had a concept for the video, and the concept for the video was have all those protests, things like that was on the news, like a flash, like one of them old slideshows almost.
Government officials, they playing games. Look them in their eyes. I know they lame. I can't breathe. That's what he yelled out when he got put in the chokehold and died. Nigga right there, dog on his knees. We begging, please. We under siege. Is we really safe up in our city streets? Urban societies, we all misfits, trying to fit in, but they won't let us in. We dying right here in the front of our own kin. They all out there, they acting like they are best friends. Can't trust the wolf in street clothes. He's showing his face too much, so I know for that reason he wanna kill me though. Bloodthirsty Babylon wanna see me dead. Bullet holes right off in my black small head. I'm third-eyed wide, not third-eyed blind. While I'm watching youngsters in the middle of the street as they die yelling free. I can't breathe. Somebody get this Babylon off me, they yelling free. Shit, I can't breathe. Youngsters get squeezed in the middle of the street, they yelling free. I can't breathe. They killing us every day in the middle of the street, I'm yelling free. I can't breathe. Breathe. I can't breathe. After Grant got murked at the port. Hands behind his back, poke, thinking he was smart. Fucking Mort. Then he went for his taser gun, but the folk kept bust his head off. Right there on Raw TV, and he still got out in the year, see? Me, I shot a nigga 3 times, he didn't die, but they gave me 25 to life. Now show me where justice at. Show me where justice at. Shit, I'm trying to figure, is this just us, or is just us? If it's just us, it's so blind, so I know a nigga when it comes to my kind.